Okay. This is the Tuesday, October 27th, 2020 meeting of the Dunn County Planning, Resource and Development Committee. Looking at our screen, looks like we have a quorum and that all members except for, all members are present. Okay, good. So first of all, approval of the minutes for October 13th, 2020.
Mr. Chairman, I will move approval. Supervisor Morehouse.
Morehouse, Supervisor Anderson. Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? No. Motion carries. We have no public hearing today. We have a short agenda today compared to the last few times meetings. So for logistics sake, item 8B is a simple housekeeping resolution. No, 8A is to accept a budget adjustment for the Register of Deeds office. Without objection, could I move that item up ahead of staff reports? Okay, then I'd ask Mr. Stride and Heather if you have any comments about it.
Heather, if you want to go ahead and present, and I'll add any thoughts.
Sounds good. Good morning, everyone. This is Heather Kuhn, Register of Deeds. I am making this or asking for this budget adjustment just simply to reflect an accounting change to better reflect our revenues and our expenses. The contractual consulting expense account is used to pay our licensing fees to our software provider, and that is based on the subscriptions from the county subscribers for online access. And so we pay the software provider the licensing fees based on those subscriptions. And then in turn, our software provider manages a public access site, just a general public access site, and they share that revenue with us. So we were previously just simply applying that credit for the revenue we would receive from that general public access site. We would just apply that credit towards the licensing fees, and this budget adjustment then would reflect that we would actually show those credits as revenue, and then the expense would be the licensing fees would be reflected in the contractual consulting account, and that it would just be the full amount then that we're representing as an expense versus offsetting it with a credit that like we were doing. So if I didn't confuse you with that explanation, hopefully you can understand what basically money is going back and forth with our software provider, and instead of showing it as a credit, we're simply just now showing the credit as revenue and the full expense under contractual consulting.
And Mr. Chair, if I could add to that.
Sure.
Yeah, this really reflects a change to recommendations from the generally accepted accounting principles, and it fully shows your expenditures and your revenues separately versus a net result, which really is frowned upon. And this is just more or less making the adjustment. Heather brought this to our attention last year, but it was too late to make the adjustment for the 2020 budget. So we monitored to see the status for budget this year to see if it was necessary, and unfortunately it was necessary to make this change. So we're hoping that maybe revenues or expenditures would allow us to not have to make this budget adjustment, but necessity dictates that we do. Also, the adjustment was made for 21, which I believe she did note in the budget adjustments. So we're set to go for the future.
Okay, thank you to both of you. Any questions, thoughts from the committee? Is there a motion to approve and forward to the executive committee?
I'll move to approve, Mr. Chairman.
Supervisor Anderson, a second?
I'll second,
I'll
Mr.
second
Chairman.
it. Supervisor Kinnear.
I'll take Mr. Kinnear. We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? Okay, motion carries. Thanks, Heather, and thanks, Keith.
Thank you.
So now we have our other item, which is a discussion of contracting for sanitation inspections and associated impacts to the land use fee schedule. Mr. Colson, are you going to lead us through this?
Thank you. Thank you. Good morning, everyone. So I put two documents in the in your packet. One is just a reference. It's from last time's meeting. And unless there's question, I put it in there for reference. But unless there's questions on that document, I'm going to skip ahead to the next document. So are there questions about anything from last meeting? All right, hearing none, and Tom is just about to the one. So there's a couple things in here, some additional findings since our last meeting. So in looking at this and estimating what it would cost for about half of those inspections, it's about $38,000 is what I estimated that cost is. And so the county purchasing rules require that we get estimated payments if the amount is between $15,000 and $40,000, and at least 3 of those. And so, assuming that everything goes well today, I will be working with John McLaughlin to get a request for quotes out or bids or whichever one we're gonna label that. And get that out and get it back. It's a fairly simple and straightforward request, so I don't think we need to give the consultants a heck of a lot of time, but we'll give them ample time to put something together and get it back to us, and then we will make a decision on that and bring that to the committee for its actions. So, and then I guess I just wanted to just kind of so there are the questions about any of that yet before I move on? All right, so you can always chime in, and I will certainly go back and answer a question. So, really, what this does is it allows us to contract out for consulting services for sanitation, which then would free up the time that I am currently spending on zoning. Staff would pick up those zoning inspections, and that would allow me to work on things. And right now, the highest priority is the comp plan to get that finished. We are going through our gear down piece of the season, so some of this is going to help. Well, that will help with workload through the winter, but most of staff that will be getting caught up on stuff that they've done in the summer. So, but I would probably have time, regardless of this, to work on the comp plan, because zoning does slow down. Zoning inspections slow down quite a bit once we get through freeze up here. But so my goal is to finish the comp plan just as quickly as time allows. But I just want to let the committee know that there's certain things that Tom, if you could keep scrolling down, that just may not really get to, or would be late in getting to. And a lot of them are some of the planning stuff, and then there's also stuff at the staff level that we would have to kind of juggle. And right now, the biggest thing that we're not even able to even tackle is the maintenance records. The other stuff, the complaints, the ordinance maintenance, the general office, those are things that staff normally do this time of year as the inspection workload kind of tapers off. And so some of this may or may not get addressed through the winter. So and then as an action item, we do have the fee schedule. But before we go there, are there questions? Are there questions just about the directions that you've given us, if I have those correct, or just comments about the workload?
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, Gary.
Bob, how long would it take for these contracted inspections to like go out to a job? I mean, is there something in the contract that it's got to be done within 10 days or 2 weeks? Is there any kind of time frame as part of that contract?
There would be, if I understand your question, and if I don't answer it correctly, I will try again, because there's a couple of avenues that we can go down on this. So typically what we do is the plumbers would give us 24 hours, a minimum of 24 hours notice that they need an inspection. We would have, as part of the request for proposals that's going out, that the consultant would have to react within that time frame as well. And so we would notify them within 24 hours of an inspection, and they would have to respond accordingly. So is that what you're asking me, Mr. Bjork?
Yes, it was. Thank you.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Mr. Chairman, may I?
Sure.
Bob, we did talk about this at the last meeting, but have you given any additional thought to maybe contracting out some of these maintenance records? I mean, it's data entry. It's sort of a clerical task. So just wondering if you gave any more thought to that, because it is a bit concerning.
I agree that it's concerning, and I really haven't had much opportunity. When it's 2 weeks between meetings, it's
right,
difficult.
exactly.
But I did comment, and you know, I guess I'll say that I promised that I would look into that as you know, before the year's end, but as soon as practical, because it is concerning to us as well. And so no, I have not looked into it yet, but it is on my list of things to do for the committee.
Thank you.
Thanks, Bob. Other questions? Okay, so you have a resolution that we need to pass?
Yes. So we added $50 across the board to the state sanitation fees to help cover these costs. And there was a question last meeting, and I don't know that I fully answered it. And I think this would really help understand, you know, why we don't just go to $100 right off the bat if we think that's what we're going to need. Let's just say that it is 50-50, that 50% of the inspections are done in-house and 50% are consulted. That means that for the in-house fees, we're collecting an extra $50 for that fee, because the fees that we're showing reflect what we need for the outside consultant. And so that's $50 banked, added on to the $50 extra that we have in the schedule for the consultant. So we should have the money collect enough money through this that we would pay the consultant. And that's why we wanted to take some time to see what's going on, to evaluate just where we're at, and then come back with a report sometime next year in terms of if we think it's working, or if we think we need to adjust one more time. So I hope that helps understand why I don't want to really go to the $100 right away. Plus, it's a little bit of sticker shock. We raised fees last time, and to raise them $100 was a bit much, when we honestly think that $50, the way that we have it set up right now, is going to make the county whole. So if there's no questions, that's the fee schedule before you. And if there are questions, I'd certainly try to answer them for you.
Any questions? Mr. Coulson. I think when Bob and I talked about this, the idea was, as Bob said, that this should be adequate, and if not, it'll be pretty close, and better to do it this way than to do something we know is, or we're pretty sure would be a cost that at a cost is we're pretty sure is not needed. So any questions on this or comments? Is there a motion to accept the land use fee schedule as presented on this table? Someone?
Mr. Chairman, I will move
Supervisor Kinnear
approval.
will
Supervisor Morehouse
second.
moves and Supervisor Kinnear seconds. Any final discussion? Okay, all in favor of the motion as presented, say aye.
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 Aye. Opposed? Carries.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, Bob. And that's our agenda. I think we did break a record for shortest meeting this time. We almost had the longest one last time. Any announcements?
Yes, I have an announcement, Tom. Just some housekeeping. I don't know if most of you have maybe heard this, but Solid Waste Department, Solid Waste Recycling is going to be ceasing their operations the end of the year. Diane Durst has taken a different job. She is no longer employed with Dunn County. Her last day was Friday last week. So that's why she's not with us this morning. I'm actually taking minutes today, but Janelle Newcomb, support staff in the Land and Water Conservation Division of ENS, has agreed to take the PR&D meeting minutes the rest of this year and then also next year. So just wanted to announce that in case you're wondering where Diane is this morning. So that's all I had.
Thanks, Tom. Anything else?
Oh, I have one, Tom.
Yeah, Bob.
The next meeting, I will be in the driver's seat for PR&D. So you get to see me 2 weeks or 2 meetings in a row because Tom is out on vacation, hopefully getting the big buck. So I will be sitting in the driver's seat next time. So.
Oh,
Anybody else? Okay. Future meeting date, November 10th. Any particular agenda items people want to bring forward today, or if not today, between now and middle of end of next week? Okay. All right. We'll call the meeting adjourned. Thanks, everybody.
Wow.